Hello friends, today we'll learn about an important scheme with regards to food security in India, that is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojna. From prelims perspective, apart from the scheme details, we'll also study certain aspects related to food security like National Food Security Act, the public distribution system in India, and also a scheme called One Nation, One Ration Card. Now, from mains perspective, we need to understand the impact of this scheme on India's food security, and also we'll see certain challenges and the recent improvements which government has done with regards to food security in India. So let's begin with why this topic has been in news. Now, recently, government has announced a 5-year extension to this scheme. So earlier, the scheme was launched during pandemic. So in 2020, as a relief measure, the government launched this scheme, which provided free food grains to the eligible beneficiaries. Now, this was in addition to the earlier ration card or public distribution system, which was in place. So, a 5 kg of free monthly food grains are provided to around 81 crore people under this scheme. Now, the extension will approximately cost India around 11.8 lakh crore in next 5 years. So, we can see that food subsidy forms a major part of central government subsidy. This scheme has also subsumed earlier schemes under National Food Security Act like Antyodaya Anna Yojna and priority households. So these were the schemes earlier under National Food Security Act. Now these both have been subsumed under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojna. Now let's see some details of this scheme, that is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojna. Now, as I said, that it was started as during pandemic as part of the COVID relief package called Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan package. Now, this scheme aims to cover every person who is eligible under National Food Security Act. And the beneficiaries are provided 5 kg of grains, which is wheat or rice, for free. And earlier, this was in addition to 5 kg of subsidized food grains, which was already provided through public distribution system. So, during pandemic, there was already a public distribution system in place where 5 kg of food grains per person per month was provided at a subsidized rate of around 3 or 2 rupees per kg. And in addition to this, the government launched this Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojna, which gave 5 kgs of food grain for free without any price. Now, the scheme has been modified. Now, from 1st January 2020, both the above schemes have been merged, and a beneficiary is eligible only for 5 kg of food grain, but it is made free. The beneficiary doesn't have to pay any cost for it. Now, moving forward, let's understand what is National Food Security Act in this regard. Now, this act passed in 2013. It mainly aims at giving the Indian population food as a basic right. Now, the coverage under this act is such that it covers around 2/3 population of India, which covers 75% of rural population and 50% of urban population. So, the beneficiaries of this scheme are not just people below the poverty line, but also some section of population above the poverty line. As we can see, it covers around 67% of the total population. Now, the scheme, the role of union and state with regards to this National Food Security Act have been divided. The state has the task of identifying the beneficiaries, that is potential households within the scope of the act. Now, and what is the role of union? Union will procure the grains from the farmers at minimum support price. And then union procures the grain at minimum support price, and union will sell those grains to each state at a price called central issue price. It is also called as CIP. Now, how much each state will be allotted is dependent on number of beneficiaries in that state. Now, the act clearly says that the CIP, that is central issue price, can't be greater than MSP, which means the price at which center issues to the state the grains cannot be more than the minimum support price which center pays to the farmers to procure the grains. Now, these are some main provisions regarding the act. Now, other provisions are states are also responsible to sell those grains to beneficiary through fair price shops or ration shops. Now, there are two types of households identified under this act. One is priority households and one is Antyodaya Anna Yojna households. So, in priority households, 5 kg of food grains for each family member is provided. And for Antyodaya Anna Yojna, irrespective of number of households in a family, 35 kg of grain is provided every month. But now, as we have seen now, under this Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojna, both the schemes have been merged under this new scheme. So we don't have any differentiation of Antyodaya Anna Yojna and priority households as of now. Now, some more details about National Food Security Act. So the responsibility to distribute grains to ultimate beneficiaries with state. Now some states or UTs, if they don't want the administrative burden of implementing this scheme, they can directly transfer the monetary benefit to the eligible beneficiaries through direct benefit transfer based on the market price of the grains. Now this kind of system is already prevalent in some union territories of Chandigarh, Puducherry and Dadra and Nagar Haveli. So these union territories have adopted this route, so they don't have any administration burden of maintaining the ration shops, identify and distributing the grains to the beneficiaries. Now, one more provision with regards to Act is, if a state or a union territory is unable to provide the beneficiaries their entitled food grains, they need to pay a food security allowance to them, to the beneficiaries. Now, also, if there are any complaints or any issues with regards to scheme, every state is required to form a state food commission which will monitor the implementation of the scheme. Now, the scheme works like each household is given a ration card. Now, for that ration card, a head of the household will be the eldest woman who is more than 18 years of age, will be regarded as a head of the household for one ration card. Now, this is done particularly for women empowerment. So, ration card is issued in the name of the eldest woman in the household. Now, there are certain provisions in the Act with regards to pregnant women and also with regards to children. So, pregnant and lactating mothers up to 6 months are entitled for take-home ration of 600 calories, entitled to a free meal at local Anganwadi, and they get a maternity benefit of 6,000 in installments. So, these are the rights entitled under this Act for a pregnant woman. Similarly, children aged 16 to 14 years have a right for one free hot meal in government schools. Now, this governments implement through midday meal scheme. So, these are the rights which are given for the citizens under National Food Security Act. Now, to implement this National Food Security Act, there is a system in place called public distribution system. We'll see in brief how this public distribution system works. Now, this was earlier it was developed to manage the food shortages in the country by supplying food grains at affordable rates. Now, there is an organization under central government called Food Corporation of India. The Food Corporation of India is responsible for procuring the food grains at a minimum support price from farmers. It stores it and it transport to the respective states and distributes it to the state government. So that is the responsibility of Food Corporation of India. So the both central government and state government cooperatively undertake the public distribution system. Now, we have seen that operational tasks are performed by state government. Operational tasks are like how the beneficiaries are determined, to maintain the ration shops, now to distribute the grains to the ration shops, all are done by the state government. Now, what is the role of central government? Through Food Corporation of India, the central government procures the food grains, distributes and transports to the specified FCI depot throughout the country. And as you have seen, the state government is charge of identifying the eligible recipients, allocating and distributing food grains within the state, and issuing ration cards. So the responsibilities of center and state have been divided in the public distribution system. Now, with regards to this, there is an important topic called economic cost. So, as you have seen that the Food Corporation of India procures the food grains at minimum support price, issues at central issue price. Now, food subsidy is calculated as in the formula given as economic cost minus central issue price. Now, what is this economic cost? In basically means the total cost incurred by Food Corporation of India to procure the food grains and also to distribute the food grains. So, it includes acquisition cost plus distribution cost. So, this forms the part of economic cost, and minus what the central issue price is, the price at which union government issues to the state government the food grains. The difference between that forms part of the food subsidy bill of central government. Now, with regards to food security, recently there was one more scheme launched called One Nation, One Ration Card. Now, to understand the background of it, the ration card are issued are state specific. So, suppose for example, a migrant laborer goes from Bihar to Maharashtra and he has a ration card issued in Bihar. So, he can't, and when he's working in Maharashtra, he will not be entitled to food grains under that ration card. Now, this creates hardship, and then such migrants are left out from the benefits of this scheme. So, to counter that, the government launched One Nation, One Ration Card scheme. So, basically what it does is, with that ration card, eligible citizen can procure food grains throughout the country anywhere. So, it is implemented in the National Food Security Act. Now, the system allows all the beneficiaries, particularly migrant, to claim either full or part of food grains from any fair price shop in the country. So it's not necessary that it has to be within the same state. Now what happens is, it is also a provision where you can procure a part of food grain from Maharashtra and part of food grain from Bihar. For example, a migrant is in Maharashtra and his family is back in Bihar. So some part of it, say 2 kgs, he can procure from Maharashtra, and balance 3 kgs can be procured by his family back in Bihar. So that kind of portability is provided under the scheme. Now, the importance of this scheme is it removes the geographical hindrance to social justice and enables the right to food. Now, how is this scheme implemented? It is linked with Aadhaar and biometrics. So this removes the possibilities of corruption. So what happens is, if your Aadhaar and biometric is linked, it is linked with ration card, and in that ration card you are entitled 5 kg, and that can be procured from anywhere. Now there are 2 important portals through which this scheme is implemented. One is IMPDS portal and second is Anna Vitran portal. In IMPDS portal, it is nothing but integrated management of public distribution system. It implements national level portability. And Anna Vitran portal displays the sales data brought through electronic point of sales devices. Now each ration card or fair price shop has this point of sales enabled devices, and once a beneficiary procures to it, it is accounted and it is managed through IMPDS portal. So that way this one nation one ration card is implemented. Now let's see from mains perspective, what are the challenges of this scheme. Now, first and foremost, it is a very expensive scheme for the for the government of India. Now, if we see in 2022-23, the revised budget estimate said that this food subsidy would cost around 2.87 lakh crore. So you can see that food subsidy forms the largest part of central government subsidy. It has a maximum share. So we can see that this scheme is highly expensive for the government, and apart from being expensive, it always needs abundant supply of cheap grains. So that also increases the role of Food Corporation of India to procure and store those food grains. Now, one more challenge of this scheme is the subsidized food grains is highly leaking and being diverted to the black markets. So time and again, various committees have identified that there's a lot of diversion of the ration, and it is sold in black markets. So that is one of the important challenges of this scheme. One more important challenge is storage challenge. Now, see, Food Corporation of India will procure those food grains at once the season is over, and it has to store to supply it throughout the year. Now, as such, Food Corporation of India doesn't have such huge storage capacities. So what happens is it usually ends up in storing in open spaces, and that leads to a lot of food wastage. Secondly, there are inclusion and exclusion errors in scheme. So what happens is the beneficiaries which are actually entitled are excluded from the scheme. There were certain issues also identified due to Aadhaar linking. Like to highlight, in few years back in Jharkhand, a young girl named Santoshi Kumari died because she was not given food grains under ration card because her Aadhaar was not able to link due to some technical error. Now, due to the technical error of Aadhaar being not linked to the ration card, she was not entitled to the food grains, and she died of hunger after a few days. Now, these kind of challenges are there in the scheme. So now, what are some recent reforms taken by government to address this scheme? So one was the government has enabled GPS and RFID mainly during the transport of the food grains. So it ensures that there is no diversion. The vehicles are tracked. And secondly, EPOS devices are maintained. So there are electronic point of sales divided are installed at all fair price shops. They help with tracking the distribution food in more systematic manner. This also ensures that from fair price shops, the grains are not diverted and they are sold only to the eligible beneficiaries. Similarly, Aadhaar number is there to remove duplicate or ghost beneficiaries, and one toll-free helpline is there if any beneficiaries has any complaint with regards to the scheme. So these are the challenges and some recent reforms taken by government. Now this covers most of the aspects with regards to food security in India. So let's see some PYQs which were there in prelims with regards to it. First is find the correct statement about National Food Security Act. The families coming under category of below poverty line are only eligible to receive subsidized food grains. Now we have seen that 67% of population is covered, and both below poverty line and some section of population above poverty line is also covered. So first statement will be wrong. The second says the eldest woman in household of age 18 years or above shall be head of the household for purpose of issuance of ration card. Now this you have seen is implemented to promote women empowerment in the country. So the second statement is right. Now third statement says pregnant women and lactating mothers are entitled to take home ration of 1600 calories. Now we have seen that this is not 1600 but 600 calories. So this statement will be wrong. So answer will be 2 only. That is option B. Now, there are also a few mains questions regarding public distribution system. First was, what are the major challenges of public distribution system in India and how can it be made effective and transparent? So we have seen few challenges. Apart from that, there is an important committee called Shanta Kumar Committee with regards to PDS, which is whose recommendations are important for mains exam. So we can write those challenges and we can, in way forward, we can mention the recommendation of this committee. Now, similarly, there's one more question called, what are the reformative steps taken by the government to make food grain distribution system more effective? So we have seen some steps, like one important step was one nation, one ration card, then GPS and RFID tags, then EPOS devices. So all these things can be mentioned in this answer. So this covers the topic of food security and the scheme which was in news called Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojna. Thank you.